So, hello everyone. So, we are in the month of April and this is the heart of appraisal season. Some of you might be promoted and given the position that they desired. Congratulations to all of you. But there are a lot of people who are expecting the promotion or who are expecting certain increment but they haven't been met with. So, those particular people are looking for a job switch. But this is a very unaddressed topic, that when should you switch your job and what exactly means, what are the factors or criteria you should consider whenever you're switching your job and progressing your career. I would request you to please subscribe to the channel so that it brings us motivation to give you quality content. Without wasting any further time, let's start this video. Now let us see what are the topics that we are going to cover in this particular session. First, we will understand what exactly is a switch or a job switch. Then we will understand that when do you switch a job. We will also look at when you not switch your job, and also how can the career switch affect the career growth and how do we do about it. Let's begin. So first and foremost, if you are a new professional or if you don't know about this particular terminology of job switch, let us understand that. So job switch is nothing but a practice of changing job frequently or voluntarily depending upon the circumstances. So this particular job switch process can involve finding and taking a new job or different duties than your current jobs, or you can even seek transfer in the same company to a different role. So that would also be termed as job switch. Again, the rate at which people are switching the job currently or changing the job currently in the past years has been higher, and this is due to better opportunities that are available today and the focus on the work culture by employees, because it is not that people will tolerate toxic work culture or people will tolerate injustice. So today there are opportunities, and if you don't fit at a particular place, if you think that there are better job opportunity, then people consider to switch the job. Also, in this particular job switch, it has been mislabeled at times. Okay, it has been mislabeled in a negative term that you keep switching your job, and that is why it has been correlated to financial aspect. Okay, so if someone switches the job, it is assumed that that particular person is switching for financial things, he's switching for a higher salary. But that is not one, that is just one of the factors, that is not the entire picture. Also, it has led to the insecurity amongst the recruiters also. Even today's recruiter do not guarantee that how much time a particular candidate will work for the company. Okay, so this is entirely about the job switch. And now let us understand that when exactly should you switch your job. So there are five major criteria. If those are met, then you can consider to switch your job. The first criteria is no opportunity. So at your workplace, at your current workplace, if you do not have opportunity to grow, or there are any unfulfilled task or role which are not given to you, or whatever the tasks are given, if you are not interested in that particular work, then that is a waste of time and waste of your talent. Okay, so if there is no further opportunity for you to grow in a particular organization or a role, then that can be a criteria for a job switch. The second would be poor management. Okay, so whenever you run a company, the management of people, the management of human resources is one of the key factor to deliver productivity. If the management is poor and if leadership does not take care of its employee, then it leads to chaos. And this particular chaos leads to a certain fear or a certain level of instability in the mind of the employees. And they can think that the management is not clear about the direction of the company. And it is time that I look a career where I have a good management and stability to my career. Okay. So poor management is also one of the criteria for a job switch. Next thing is workload. So if you're working at a particular position and if there is excess workload so that you cannot finish your work on time and you are blamed for not finishing your work on time because you are already overloaded, then that is a workload criteria to switch the job. In contrast, if you have a very less amount of workload, if you're not being utilized, if you are given less amount of task, for example, if you're a CRA, you're just given 1 to 5 sites, okay, so that is not the CRA job, okay, because you would not be able to work on multiple sites, so that can be a factor, okay. Again, your talent, your productivity needs to be utilized at the optimum, not more, not less, but at the optimum. And if you do not have workload, then that would also not lead for you to hone your skills, for you to get new experiences also, okay. So any kind of excess or less workload would definitely have an impact on your career and also ability to grow into that position. So workload is also one of the factor that you should consider when switching a job. Next is workplace culture and financial stability. Again, as I've said, that in today's time, in 2024, culture at workplace and mental well-being are one of the most significant criteria, because at the end of the day, we all know that we are here to earn money, we are here to support our families, but if it is affecting our health and mental well-being, then that is no good for us. So that is why the workplace culture, you have to take into account too, if there is any politics, if you are being unjustly not given any opportunity, then that can be one of the factors. Second thing is financial stability. Now we all give our 100%. We all know that we are professional, we are going there, we are working, and in return, we are being compensated. But if that compensation does not reflect the amount of hard work that we are doing, and it is not listened by the management or your manager, then that particular thing bothers us, because after giving 100%, you're not being compensated. It clearly means that either your work is not that important, or it is important, but it is not being taken care of. And this can be one of the significant criteria of switching a job. So workplace culture and financial stability is one of the key criteria that you should consider when you switch a job. Next is appreciation and promotion. As I've said that working is a part of it. Okay, you work very hard, but in return, it is not only the financial motivation. It is also that your work needs to be appreciated. You needs to be know that you are working in correct direction so that you can make necessary changes and move your career forward. Everyone wants to move forward in their career. Everyone wants to keep the learning curve, and for that, the employee morale needs to be high. The management, the leadership needs to tell the employees that what exactly they need to do. If they do good, they need to appreciate them, they need to promote them, and there is a certain level of assurance that should be given to the employees, so that they understand that if I stay here, I will get compensated, I will get promoted, I will get recognized, and this will help me to work forward. Okay, so appreciations and promotions are not a necessary factor, but it is also not a factor to be taken lightly. You needs to be regularly appreciated, the promotion needs to be happening depending upon your performance, and if you perform good, then the appreciation and promotion should always come. If these are not the criteria with you, if you are working hard and you are being overlooked at due to some XYZ reason, and that reason is not your performance, then that becomes a certain criteria for switching your job. Okay, so these are the 5 major criteria which leads for someone to consider switching a job or changing a job. Now we have seen that when do you switch a job, but it is also very important to learn when not to switch a job, because your job is your identity, and learning when not to switch a job is also one of the critical criteria. Let's see. So there are 6 fundamental criteria which you should consider and not switch your job. Okay. The first criteria is very trivial, but it happens a lot, that whenever your colleague leaves a job, you are influenced by it and you think that he's leaving, therefore I should leave. Okay. So please understand that you are just a colleague. You are not best friend or you are not family. You have responsibility to support your family. So if a colleague leaves a job, he's considering his own factors, and that are very individualistic factor. It is not a group effort. If he's leaving your job, it is due to his criteria. It does not mean that you should follow that person or you should follow his action of switching the job. So do not be influenced by your colleague. Consider all the factors, weigh the pros and cons, and then and only then decide about job switch. If after deliberation you find that there is no hardcore reason for me to leave the job and it is just the heat of the moment, then think about your career very carefully before leaving the job. So do not leave the job if you are influenced by anyone else or the colleagues who is leaving or who has put papers. Okay. Next particular criteria is being bored or underutilized. So if you think that at a particular role it is getting boring or you're not being utilized to the optimum level, then talk to your manager, have discussion with him, tell him that what are your expectation, what is the role that you want, and what the management can do or what you can do in order to get your role. Okay. If boredom is a state of mind, okay, if you are getting bored, that means that you have not taken that much effort or someone has not given you that much efforts to do your particular job. Okay. So do not leave your job or switch your job just because you are bored. Okay. Just talk to your managers, to your management, tell them what you're expecting and come to certain agreement so that you are being correctly utilized and you do not get bored. The next criteria would be financial motivation. Now I see a lot of people who keep on changing their job, who get 30%, 40% hike on every job switch. See, finance is one of the critical criteria, and that is why we all work for. But at the end of the day, whenever you seek a particular job role, you need to spend some time at that particular company or role. You need to understand the nuances of it. If just earning money, then it will lead to a place where you no longer can switch, and that is not a good place to be. At a certain level in your career, you would reach a position where no one would hire you just because the requirements of that role requires you to learn certain skills and move forward. So financial motivation should not always be the criteria. Of course, if you are underpaid, if you are overperforming, then that is one of the significant criteria. But just because of the sake of money, do not switch your job. Okay, this is one of the key criteria that people in today do not understand. Make sure that you leave your job if you are definitely underpaid and overperform. The next criteria is that if you have any kind of misconception about the job role and opportunity, okay, and this particular is a big factor, and that you will see in this particular month whenever the appraisal season is ongoing, that certain people have misconception about their job role. They think that they are performing in all criteria but still not getting promoted. So whenever you have one to one with your manager, make sure you tell them what was your expectation. Ask the manager that what he was expecting, which are the criteria where you have not performed, and what are the areas where you shall look on. Okay, understand what are the expectation, because a lot of people have misconception about the job role. They do not know what exactly they should do in the job role, and this leads to your metrics being negative. This leads to hole in your boat, and then the water seeps in and you get drowned. So make sure you understand your job role. Make sure you talk about this to your management. You ask them about opportunities. And if after that also you're unsatisfied, then you can switch your job. But make sure you understand your role and opportunity very clearly, and then and only then switch the job. The final criteria is not understanding the career trajectory. Now, if I have to give example of clinical research, in clinical research, you move from CRC to CRA to senior CRA to manager. Now let us understand, if you are a CRC and I put you in a manager's job. In that particular job, you would have to handle CRAs and senior CRAs. You have to handle the upper management pressure. Now, being a CRC, you do not know how to handle CRAs. Okay, you do not know how to handle the management. So definitely, if you would have been from a CRC to CRA to senior CRA and then to management, you would have learned gradually, and you would have better performed whenever finally you would have become a manager. But since you directly become a manager, you are not able to cope up with all the responsibilities. So make sure you understand that you stay a significant amount of time in a particular role. if you are a CRC, make sure you work for a year or 2 years to understand how do you conduct a clinical trial. If you are a CRA, before you turn to project manager, understand how a CRA works. What are the monitoring visit? What are the challenges? Once you spend the time, once you have very significant amount of learning, then and only then you can move ahead and go into the management role. Okay, so understand your career trajectory is a progression. It has to be given time, and after that only you can move from one role to another. So not understanding the career trajectory and just moving to one position to other will definitely lead to a disaster at certain point of time. So make sure that you give time to your career, and then and only then consider switching your job. Now finally, let us understand that how can we grow our career and how can we understand this job switch in terms of career growth. So make sure that whenever you are growing your career, your job satisfaction takes precedence. Okay, you have to evaluate whether your current job is making you satisfied, whether you're liking, what you're disliking, and based on that you decide a role or a position, and then based on that you switch a company. Next thing is that you have to evaluate your skills and interest. Okay, so if I want to be a manager, I need to have management skills. Make sure that you seek all the skills that you need. Make sure that you have clear interest. Okay, and that interest should lead for you to grow in your career. Okay, make sure you hone your skills, make sure you do the certification, and then and only then, based on your performance, your qualification, your skills and interest, you can switch your job and grow your career. The next aspect is the researching for new option. Now I understand that want to move from one position to another. So you have to deep down, you have to do your research. Before you decide to switch your job, spend several amounts of time, several months in research. Understand what exactly are your career target, do an in-depth research. Based on only that, you would find your career options and new opportunities. So make sure your research is very solid before you take any significant career decisions. And finally, I would tell this to all my students that learning and updating is a continuous process. Okay, it does not stop at your college. After every 3 years or 5 years, people need to update their skill. They need to adapt to changing technology. Now, artificial intelligence is a big thing, and we will be using AI in a day-to-day manner. So make sure you understand what AI is, how the tools are, how I can integrate ChatGPT 4. Okay, make sure you look at various ways to develop your skills and you progress your career. So consider all the options, your job satisfaction, your skills, your interest. You do a thorough amount of research, you learn and update, and then and only then switch your job or not switch your job. So thank you for watching this video, and make sure you like, share and subscribe to this video. So we do a lot of hard work, and that is why we request you that please subscribe to our channel so that it brings us motivation and we can bring you quality content moving forward.